had the hardest time picking out what game I wanted to start next lately. I got about halfway through the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster, and after getting stuck multiple different times, I just haven't felt like picking it back up since then. So naturally, I started looking through my games to pick out something else to play instead, and I just can't seem to make up my mind. And that's where this video idea came from. I know I can't be alone in this, right? So that begs the question, just how do we decide what to play next? The sands of time eventually cover us all, so I like to use my time wisely. And as someone who wants to play as many great games as possible in his lifetime, this is my greatest obstacle. I have so much shit to pick from, and that makes it so hard to decide what to play next. Can you tell I'm still single? There's a lot of things in the way of my decision making here. I know I want to play a game, but I want to play the right game. And while this issue mostly comes from picking from games I already have, I do always try to make sure I carve out some spare time for new games. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, definitely becomes a big factor when looking for a new game to play. Nobody wants to be the only one not having any fun. Everybody wants to be in the loop, and you especially want to hop on that bandwagon before someone spoils a game you were looking forward to for you. You're already having trouble deciding between the games you already have, and now you see all these clips on the internet of games that you don't have. It suddenly makes you want to drop everything and buy that game instead of dealing with your already massive backlog of games. It's Pacopia. Can you tell I really want to play Pacopia, but I don't have it yet, but it looks really fun, and I want to have a good time with everybody else. I bought the game before I even finished the script. I'm part of the problem. Or all of a sudden your friends hop back on a game that you haven't considered playing in years, and you thought those years were behind you, and tragically, you find yourself downloading Overwatch again, and uh-oh, I'm having a great time! And the game I was gonna play falls deeper down my priority list. Damn it, I was excited to play this game! It's such a difficult first world problem. Sometimes how busy you are in life can dictate the game you pick out, so the question isn't always what game do you want to play the most. Now it becomes a different question. What games do you even have time to play? What length are you thinking? Long or short? Innuendo. If you're working with limited free time, maybe starting that 100-hour RPG isn't the best idea right now. I want to play Persona 5, I really do, but I know how I am about no-lifing these big RPGs, and I already have a bad enough upload schedule as it is, so... Not just yet, Persona 5. Not just yet. So maybe a shorter game is the way to go. Something you can finish in a few sittings. The 8 to 10 hour types of games are really great for when you don't have the time for something bigger. And beating a few shorter games over the course of a month or so is great for clearing out your backlog. Maybe you'll even have enough time to replay an old favorite with how much time you're saving. So I spend a lot of time looking up games on howlongtobeat.com when trying to make a decision. It doesn't always help me finalize my choice, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't help me make my choice. I'm not usually someone who plays multiple games at a time unless it's for a video. I tend to stick to one game at a time so I can actually finish the games that I start. At the most, I'll juggle 2 games at once, cause that's not too hard to manage. And if you had the divorced parents custody debuff that I had growing up, you get used to playing one game one weekend and a different one the next. So I guess that's why I don't have a hard time managing 2 games at once. But a word of caution, sometimes doubling up on 2 games at once can sour the experience for you a bit. And I'm speaking from experience here. I've had this problem before myself. Back when I was in college, I had put aside enough cash for the deluxe edition of a game I was really looking forward to, Final Fantasy 16. It was sitting in the display case for weeks, and once summer break hit, I was gonna waltz right into the store and get it. And then out of nowhere, it was just gone, and I could have bought the game sooner if I just got the standard retail version. So I still got the game, but what was I gonna do with the other $40 I had left over? Save it for a rainy day? Of course not! I already made up my mind this money was going towards a video game. And conveniently, there was another game I had on my radar that was $40. So I also picked up Metroid Prime Remastered. I had it on GameCube, but I never finished it, so I figured I'd give it another shot. And I figured I would play these 2 games side by side, and despite the change of plans, I was gonna have a great summer break playing 2 fantastic games for 2 weeks. I would spend one day playing Final Fantasy 16 and the next Metroid Prime. And between the 2, I had a clear favorite. And this is probably my most controversial opinion I've ever shared on the channel so far. Okay, here it goes. I don't love Metroid Prime. Hold on, before you tear me apart, just let me defend myself real quick. I think the game is objectively great and a beautiful translation of 2D Metroid into a 3D environment. I just tend to like my Metroid games a little shorter, that's all. It's a great game, I enjoyed my time with it, but I didn't love it. I think the biggest problem with why I didn't enjoy Prime as much as I was hoping to was that the game it was competing with for my attention ended up being one of my favorite games I've played in recent years. And I know this is a hot take, but it's one of my favorite Final Fantasy games so far. I still have a few left to play, so I guess that could change. Doubt this one will change the ranking. But I got absorbed into the world of Valisthea because of the incredibly fun gameplay and awe-inspiring music and the deeply emotional voice acting, and this heart-wrenching story of Clive Rossfield is conveyed brilliantly by the phenomenal performance of Ben Starr. I love this game so much, and I know it's an action RPG and it's not turn-based, but I really think this game is overlooked, and anytime I was playing Metroid Prime, I was just kind of wishing I was playing Final Fantasy 16. And that's not fair to Metroid Prime, and I wish that I did things differently back then. I really think that if I played Prime in another time, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. And I still want to try the other Prime games to give the series another look. Maybe one day. And the whole point behind that tangent is to point out that marathoning 2 games at once can sometimes unfairly divide your appreciation for them. So while doubling up can get more games under your belt, it can also cloud your experience with them. And really, I think my preferred way of playing a game is picking one and giving that one my full attention and just enjoy myself and not stress so much about blowing through the backlog. That's the way to do it. But that still hasn't helped me decide what to play next! Okay, new idea. I have 2 games to pick from right here, and I'm just gonna flip a coin. This game will be heads, and this game will be tails. Now there's a good way to decide. Let fate handle it. I think I'll let this be the way I decide things from now on. Okay, never mind doing the coin toss thing again. This isn't gonna be that simple. It's especially hard to figure out what game to start next when you just played something that changed your life. This is the biggest obstacle of them all. What do you do after beating a game that leaves you without the proper words to describe what this game made you feel? How do I find something that will be as good as that? I hate to have another Metroid Prime situation and let comparison taint the experience of an otherwise phenomenal game. What I just played made me feel so many things, so many emotions, good and bad, and it culminated into an experience that was so beautiful, I don't even know how I would begin to describe what it meant to me. But if I had to boil down what I felt playing that game into a single word, that word would be fun. I had fun. That's it. That's what I really need to do to decide. I need to play what's fun. And what's more fun than looking through your collection and picking out a new or old gem and deciding, that's the one. That's the game I'm gonna play next. It shouldn't be this super difficult decision at the end of the day. These are games. They're supposed to be played for fun. Unless it's Apex Legends. That only brings hate. What have I been doing this whole time? I've spent so much time trying to figure out what I'm gonna play when I could have already picked out something else, and I could have been having the time of my life right now. Picking out a game shouldn't feel like homework. It should be fun. Some of my favorite games I've ever played weren't chosen because of some deep consideration and hours of thinking and planning. A lot of the times it was simple. Solid Snake from Smash Bros is super cool. Maybe I should play Metal Gear. One of my best friends started playing a cool game about the Yakuza that he heard about. That sounds neat, I'll have to check it out. Everybody seems to love Final Fantasy VII, I'll probably like it too. I loved The Last of Us, I should check out Uncharted. This 9-foot-tall vampire lady is big and sexy. I should marathon Resident Evil so I can play 8. It's always been that simple. I just started to overcomplicate things. It's a really simple decision at the end of the day. And in the end, a lot of the time I tend to just go with my gut when deciding what to play next. I can overthink every little thing when deciding what I want to play, and I really do try to have some sort of a game plan, but ultimately, it always comes down to that gut feeling of, I don't know, I kind of want to play this. I'll ignore the coin toss, the length of the game, and believe it or not, FOMO doesn't get me every time. Sometimes I play something that's not even on my backlog list. I just saw something that looks interesting. I'll just go with my gut. And sometimes my gut tells me to replay the games that made me who I am today. The games that defined my tastes. The stories that inspired me to create. Games that made me say to myself, wow, I have no idea what I'm gonna play next. How do I follow that up? And that's the fun part. That simple question. What next?